Good evening. My name is Tim Markle. I'm director of the Southern Regional Center for Children and Youth with Special Healthcare Needs. We're here a part of Harnessing Abilities, Rounding Up Resources. We're going to be talking about benefit options tonight. And we have Amber Kwiatkowski, who is a work incentives benefit specialist. And hopefully I did slightly better on your name this time than I did the time before.
Pretty close, Tim.
The Kwiatkowski?
Kwiatkowski.
Kwiatkowski. Oh my gosh. Okay. So Amber Kwiatkowski is here. Rose has also joined us as the leader and beginner of this whole harnessing abilities thing, but we're really excited tonight to learn a little bit more about how our families and our families and friends can keep working while receiving benefits, because we know that there's a lot of myths out there, Amber. So looking forward to you clearing up some of those myths and letting us know how we can have the best life possible. So thanks for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me. All right, so the presentation is all the moving parts of benefits and working. So it's sort of an overview of what you need to know in terms of Social Security disability benefits, and really how to get benefits counseling or benefit assistance if you need that, either with applying for disability benefits or with getting information about how those benefits could be affected by employment. So either employment now or in the future. So the two types of benefits counseling that we talk about is the disability benefit specialist, or the DBS, and then there's the work incentives benefit specialist, or the WIBS, and that is the type that I am. So I am the work incentives type of benefit specialist. The disability benefit specialist is located at the ADRC, the Aging and Disability Resource Center. That's where you will find that type of benefit specialist. And we really do focus on different areas. So for when you're looking at if your student or child is, not yet receiving disability benefits, that's when you would think ADRC, because the disability benefit specialist is there to help with benefit applications. And they can work with people between the ages of 18 and 59. And it's focusing on getting that application done for Social Security disability, and also appealing Social Security determinations that might not be favorable. They help people with appeals of decisions. They can help sometimes with medical continuing disability reviews and the paperwork for that, and appealing those decisions as well. They can help people figuring out Medicaid issues. So that could be applying for Medicaid, but it could also be dealing with a Medicaid eligibility issue that might come up. They can also help with Medicare Part D assistance. So that's the prescription drug plan part of Medicare. They are experts on that. Tim, do we have something in the chat? I saw something come up. I don't know if it's a question or.
Oh, Amber, that's just me throwing in links if people want to follow along and find their own ADRC, so that they can find their own disability benefit specialist, because I'm never sure what county people are from. So
yes, well,
I'll just be putting stuff in the box as you go along.
Yes, I remember that. You did that last time. You did a great job with that. Thank you. So thank you for sharing that. I think in your area, I think this is Southwest Wisconsin primarily. But anyway, they do have an ADRC down there. Every county has one. So you can follow that link to find the one that covers your county. All right, now the WIBS, this is the work incentives benefit specialist part of it. And like I said, this is the part that I work with, and I've been doing it for close to 14 years. And it's very rewarding work. I really enjoy it. So what we focus on is helping people they're already receiving either Social Security, disability insurance, or supplemental security income. So that's part of what you have to already be approved for your benefit in order to get work incentives counseling. And that's because we're focusing on working. So we're looking at, all right, you want to work. Well, what are your options for that? And if you do decide to work, are you going to lose any benefits, or are you going to keep all your benefits? So we're here to really provide support and information about returning to work or trying to work for the first time, and how benefits can change with that. And we're here to help people with planning for employment, and helping people to understand that employment is possible, and it's actually encouraged by Social Security. So we work with basically, we can work with kids as young as 15 or 16 if they're getting SSI, and we can work with people all the way up through their full retirement age. We're funded by basically three main sources in Wisconsin. One of them is the WIPA program. That's the Work Incentives Planning and Assistance grant, and that's a grant funded by Social Security. And I work in the WIPA program. That's one of my primary roles at my agency, ERI, is to work in the WIPA program. So we're funded by Social Security. You guys know about DVR, and DVR is another funding source for work incentives benefits counseling. And then the other funding source is the long-term care system, so Family Care and IRIS. So the thing to know is the service is widely available in either of those three funding sources. And I would encourage it for anybody planning to work at any point. It's very important to get that information up front so that you know what to expect when working. You don't want to have any surprises after work has been happening for a while. Okay, this slide sort of breaks down a little bit more about work incentives counseling. We're here to help overcome barriers to employment by using work incentives. We can help with figuring out if there are other resources needed, if they need, if somebody needs a referral to some type of employment support, we can help with that. We can help people looking at if there's a Medicaid program that would be better for them, food share, housing resources. We can do some of that as well. We're really here to help individuals be able to make informed choices about work. That's the key to our service. We want to reduce fear and misunderstanding that individuals might have about working. There's just a lot of fear out there. People talk to one another. People have had bad experiences with dealing with Social Security, and that kind of gets out there and kind of contributes to some of that fear and misunderstanding. And so that's another big part of our role, is that we can help improve communication between agencies like Social Security and beneficiaries. So we can help people to understand, the best ways to report earnings, trying just to help people understand how that process works so that they better know what to expect. We can communicate with Social Security on behalf of beneficiaries when needed. We can help people figure out if, they've been assessed an overpayment. We can help people figure out, well, was that right? Or do you need to appeal that decision? And what are your options? Do you need to can you appeal it? Could you ask for a waiver of the overpayment? So we help people understand if they are assessed an overpayment because of working, what their options are for dealing with that. And that's part of resolving benefit problems that might come up. So this goes to some of that fear and misunderstanding that's out there. Many individuals believe that they can't work because they will lose important benefits, such as their health insurance. And really, in most cases, that isn't true. Now, if somebody is working full-time and earning a lot of money, they might eventually see cash payments stopping, that kind of thing. But the health insurance is usually not affected even when people are working full-time. And each person's benefit situation is different, so it's important to keep that in mind. Um, and that's why we recommend individualized benefits counseling. So that would include a verification of exactly what your benefits are, and then a written report that summarizes the benefits and also explains how your job goal would impact your benefits. So it's very specific to the individual's benefits and to their employment goal. And so that's the core of the work incentives counseling, is getting that benefit summary and analysis report. So we're not going to go into details about the different work incentives because that is, a little bit time consuming and a little more complicated. So we will talk about a little bit about an overview between the two disability programs that Social Security has. So that is the SSDI program, Social Security Disability Insurance. This is the one where you wouldn't have this until you were at least 18. And it's based on either the individual's own work record, or it could be based on the record of a parent who is disabled, retired, or deceased. And that is called the childhood disability benefit. So we do see individuals when they turn 18 that can qualify for a type of SSDI on a parent's work record, and maybe that 18-year-old has never worked on their own, but they could still get SSDI if their parent is disabled, retired, or deceased. And there is no limit for assets and resources for SSDI. You could actually be a millionaire and qualify for that. They don't look at your savings when you're applying for SSDI. But, it's based on work history, though, either on your own work history or on a parent. Now, SSI, completely different program. That is the Supplemental Security Income. And this, children can be on SSI. So this could be if you have a disability and you're under the age of 18, and you meet the income and the asset limits, and your family also meets those limits, then you could be getting SSI even when you're, a child. It is needs-based. There is a monthly payment of $841 this year. That's the federal benefit rate. There is a state supplement in Wisconsin as well. It's $83.78 for the basic one. And it does come with automatic Medicaid. So the forward card, SSI recipients automatically have Medicaid in Wisconsin. There is a $2,000 limit for savings for assets, and that's part of SSI. The other thing for SSDI beneficiaries is after 2 years of entitlement, they become eligible for Medicare. So the federal health insurance, Medicare. So if your child or student has SSI as a child, there is a redetermination that is done when the child turns 18. And that's because the childhood definition of disability is different from the adult definition. So the adult one is actually harder to meet. So some Some kids who had SSI as a child, they won't continue to have SSI as an adult. That does sometimes happen, but Social Security will do a review within 12 months of the 18th birthday. And that's when they are looking at, does the individual's disability meet the adult standard for that? So that's something to be aware of. Okay, so we already mentioned Medicare and Medicaid. So just a brief comparison. Medicare is not as comprehensive. There may be some out-of-pocket cost. It does come with parts A, B, and D. So part A is for hospitalization coverage. Part B is for outpatient doctors or medical care. And D is the prescription drug coverage part of it. And Medicare, you will see with SSDI eligibility, but there is a 2-year waiting list or waiting time period before Medicare starts. So you don't get Medicare right away when that SSDI payment starts, but you do get it after 2 years. Some things that the state of Wisconsin offers are the Medicare savings plans that can help with paying the Part B premium for Medicare. And then there is also a low income subsidy for Part D. So those are things that we help people figure out if they have Medicare. And Medicaid is, it's more comprehensive coverage. We have several different programs or types of Medicaid in Wisconsin. And that's where it gets tricky. There's lots of different ways to qualify for Medicaid. And each has their own income and asset limits. Some have premiums or cost shares. So what we help people to understand is, well, you have Medicaid now, but you're going to be, working a part-time job. We can take a look at, can you still keep your same Medicaid, or are you going to switch to maybe a different type of Medicaid? So we help people understand what their options are for their Medicaid coverage when they're going to be working. And there are lots of options. So all right, so when should an individual contact a work incentives benefit specialist? And my advice is really as soon as possible if you're thinking about working. So if somebody is considering work for the first time, if they're making more money, so say they've been working for some time and they get a pay raise, and we're seeing a lot of pay raises as a result of the pandemic and employers needing to keep and retain employees. I mean, we are seeing so many people who are now getting raises and are concerned that they're making too much money. So that's a great time to get advice and assistance regarding that. If somebody is going back to work, if they're developing a career plan, looking for a job, or having problems or questions about current benefits that maybe is a result of working. So those are all great times to get some help from a work incentives person. And, a lot of also what we do is we try to help individuals understand how to manage their benefits, because it's kind of a part-time job in and of itself, really is managing benefits and understanding, what am I getting? Do I get SSDI? Do I get SSI? And that's a lot of people don't understand that too. So this is just a little bit of, knowing what benefit you're getting. You can get a benefits verification letter. You can do a lot of stuff online by creating a My Social Security account. So we recommend that for everybody. That's a great way to report earnings actually online. So we're really trying to encourage people to get that online account, and then that can be used to verify what your benefits are and also to report earnings. And also, whenever somebody is working, it's so critical to keep pay stubs. A lot of people don't understand that Social Security is always going to ask for copies of pay stubs. And they might not ask for it right away. It might be a year or two down the road, and then you have to go back and recreate or try to get those. So that's one of the things I really try to encourage people to start doing whenever work is happening is find out how to get your pay stubs, keep a copy for your own records, and then make a copy when you send it into Social Security, but make sure you have your own copy of all of your pay stubs. The other thing that can be really important is to keep all letters that you're getting from Social Security and from the state of Wisconsin regarding Medicaid. You never know when you might need to look back at a letter that you received, and that can be really helpful in figuring out what's going on with benefits. And also receipts for any impairment related work expenses. So that can be important to keep as well, especially if earnings are high enough where that could make a difference. And that's a work incentive, but keeping those receipts for like medication cost or what you pay for a co-payment for a doctor's visit, those kinds of things could be important to keep a record of, or at least know how to get those receipts if you need them. And reporting. So this is another big part of what we help people with understanding is who do you have to report earnings to? Well, of course, it's Social Security if there's SSI or SSDI, and then it's the consortium, and that would be for Medicaid and food share. And then housing. So if somebody has subsidized housing, it's always important to report to housing because rent can be affected by income changes in those cases. So this is a little bit more about reporting. So reporting earnings to Social Security is, oh, gotta go back there. It should be done with your local office. That is who should take work reports. That is who you want to be reporting earnings to. You don't want to call the national 1-800 number for Social Security. That's just not as reliable for reporting. So we do suggest that you go directly to your local office when you need to make a work report. So that would be if you're starting a job, if you're stopping a job, if you do get an increase or a decrease in your wages. Also, other changes like you moved, you got married, you had a child. Those are all important changes to make sure that are being reported, again, to your local office. And then this is a little bit more about money management. So the other thing to keep in mind is Social Security is going to look at the gross earnings that somebody receives. So that's a question we get a lot. So that's going to be before taxes are taken out. Social Security is going to look at the gross wages, not the net. And that would be nice if they did, but they look at the gross wages. Okay, so again, we're just reinforcing our message that it is possible to work and keep important benefits, and we can help explain how that would work for your individual situation. And each person's benefit situation is different and unique, and so getting individualized counseling and advisement is really the recommendation and the suggestion. And again, it's available through those 3 funding sources that we have. And part of my role at ERI, so I work at Employment Resources, Inc., is I am the program manager for the WIPA grant. So I am the first point of contact for individuals who are looking for work incentives assistance. And so you can reach out to me at the toll-free number or the 608-843-0506 number, or through email. So I have my email address on there as well. And so I just encourage anybody to reach out to me if you have questions about a situation, or figuring out how to get work incentives, benefits counseling. I'm happy to help people figure out the best funding source for that.
Thank you so much, Amber. I believe this is now my third work benefits specialist training in the last, or PowerPoint in the last 3 or 4 months. So now I know that I could probably adequately talk about, if there's any job openings. Not that I'm planning on changing or anything. But we do have we have a smallish group tonight. So I do want to open it up. If anybody has any questions, I mean, this usually we can't do much, with what ifs, but tonight we may be able to handle 1 or 2 what ifs. So please, if you have, questions, and if you're like, Tim, I'd love to ask my question, but I don't want it recorded, go ahead and say that first and I will stop the recording. Not a big deal. But if anybody has any questions, now would be a great time to ask about how benefits work with working. Give people a couple minutes to form their thoughts. One of the problems with hearing this a few times is I run out of my own questions. The first one I had lots of questions, and now I'm just like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
You're getting it.
Yeah, slowly but surely. What used to be a very confusing confusing topic is now getting to be a little bit clearer. Rose, did you have a question?
I'm not so sure if I can form it into a question. That's why I was grateful you gave me a little bit of time, but more possibly a question. So Amber, our son to this point, our child has not had to access any kind of funding or resources and so forth. We just got him signed up with the DVR and so forth. Should we be starting now? He's not of the age of adulthood. Can you tell I'm trying to make this so it can be on the recording part? He's not of the age of adulthood.
Rose, I can stop the recording. How
Okay.
would that be? Okay,
That'd
hang
be
on
great.
1 second. So hang on, everybody who is on the call, and we're just going to stop the recording right now so that we can take some personal questions without having things recorded. So thanks a lot for being here. Please continue to keep an eye on the messages we sent out for the next Harnessing Abilities, Rounding Up Resources. I believe in April, we're going to be talking about youth apprenticeships, which is really exciting to me. So I get to learn more about youth apprenticeships next month. So I hope you'll join me. Thanks for being here.